Alrighty, hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Cryptic Coil. In today's video, I'm going to showcase my entire R.L. Stine collection, omitting anything Goosebumps or Fear Street. So it's all non-Goosebumps, non-Fear Street books. And because I look a little bit different right now, I'm rocking a backwards hat. um I'm not trying to, emote any frat boy energy or anything like that. It's just that this weekend I've stayed home. I've tried to get caught up on chores. I try to get caught up on things that, I'm behind on. And I haven't showered today. I haven't washed my hair. My hair looks kind of greasy, but, I still feel like I need to make a YouTube video for my channel and provide hopefully something entertaining, maybe even informative for my audience. And so I just threw a backwards hat on to cover up my hair today. Uh, yeah, so and it's on backwards because I'm working. Okay, so I don't need the bill in my face, obscuring my vision. So it's a head covering is basically why. All right, so anyway, just because, like, at my age, when you're pushing 40, sometimes rocking a backwards ball cap can look a little douchey, and so I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this book collection. Okay, so where do I want to start? Okay, so I think I'm going to start somewhere around here. Okay, so I have two mostly ghostly books. And to tell you the truth, I kind of don't even want them. I found these both at a Goodwill clearance outlet, which is sometimes referred to as the bins, where you show up to a certain type of Goodwill center. And unlike other thrift stores, they have these big bins, and you just dig through the bins and you throw whatever you can find, whatever you want, into a bag or a shopping cart, and you pay by the pound usually. And so we have one of those locations where I live, and I've actually found some pretty good books in the bins before. I've even sold some of the books that I've found on eBay for good money in the past. Well, I found these mostly ghostly books in the bins, and I didn't even know that they existed. I didn't know it was a thing. And I know that Shady Side Library has a bigger collection than I have, and I know that he's actually more determined to complete his R.L. Stine collection. Like, he wants every book R.L. Stine has ever collected. I'm not quite as gung ho about being a collector, so I don't even really want these, to tell you the truth, but I do have them. Okay, so along those same lines, I also have another series called Rotten School. And here I have books number 5 and book number 8. And hey, Shady Side, if you happen to watch this video and you happen to want any of these, just let me know. I'll send them to you, man. You can have them. So I have part 1 and part 2 of the Mostly Ghostly series. And then I got part 5 and part 8 of Rotten School. Just throwing it out there, dude. All yours if you want. Okay, then I guess before R.L. Stine was doing like Fear Street and Goosebumps, which is well, no, never mind. He'd already started doing, but I guess he used to do like I don't know, teen romance books. And so I have these two copies of How I Broke Up with Ernie. And this doesn't really look like something that I would read, or it doesn't look like something that I would choose to read. But because it has R.L. Stine's name on it, I kind of want to read it just for that. But if it was any other author, like, I wouldn't give a, credit about this. But to tell you the truth, I think that I could kill this book like really fast. So don't be surprised if I ever do read it. But yeah, I have this like paperback which I got in a book haul. I might have made it. I might have filmed myself unboxing the book haul off of eBay, like kind of a while back, like a good while back. It I don't really remember. And then I found this hardback at a thrift store in recent months, so like 6 months ago max, 2 months ago minimum, somewhere in that time frame. But yeah, I've been finding a lot of these like vintage books with these hardback covers lately. I found some Betty Wren Wrights, and I've been finding them at the same thrift store. So I don't know who's donating them or what's donating them. I don't know if it's like some school or some children's center, but I've been finding a lot of these lately. So then I'm gonna stick to let's see. I don't know. I didn't exactly have a plan when I started to do this. The next book I guess I'll showcase is called "It Came from Ohio: My Life as a Writer." And I did actually do a book haul video where I got home from the thrift stores and I showed off what I hauled that day, and this was one of them. And I said that, it's kind of funny because Stephen King has a book called On Writing. And I feel like maybe, and I haven't read this book, but perhaps this could be R.L. Stine's version of On Writing. And so that's pretty cool. And just for, and oh, mine says uncorrected proof, not for sale. That's interesting. And this is in great condition, healthy spine, very clean pages, like mint condition cover. I just want to see if there's a copyright page real quick. And it says this edition first printing May 2015. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I might just start knocking out children's books right away. Okay, so I have this book called It's the First Day of School Forever. And I I don't think that this is part of Goosebumps or any series. I'm trying to look and see if there's like a bibliography or something. And I'm not seeing anything. But yeah, this looks like a fun one. It says that this one was copyrighted in 2011, so it's over a decade old now. Let's see. I have this one, and I found this at a thrift store. It's actually the thrift store closest to my place, and I try to hit them up at least like once a week, like on one of my days off. And I've found some really terrific stuff there. And this one is it's a vintage Apple paperback, and of course, the Goosebumps books are vintage Apple paperbacks, but this isn't a Goosebumps book, and it's called Horrors of the Haunted Museum, and it says choose from over 20 endings as you face the horrors of the haunted museum. And I think that by now a lot of you guys know how much I love it when the tagline plays into the title or vice versa. And this I doesn't really sound like something that I would read, but I think it's really cool that I own it. I'm As far as being a collector goes, I'm really glad that I own it. But the cover's not perfect. I might have to try to fix that with like packing tape or something. I want to stick to children's books. So I have this hardback copy of The Haunting Hour. I don't know if they make a paperback or not, but I think it's really cool that I own this one. And this is, another one. It used to be owned by a library. It still has the library card in it. It looks like the last time this book was checked out, it was April of 2010. And it doesn't even say what library it's from. I'm guessing probably an elementary school library. There are a few elementary schools around here in my neighborhood. There's at least like two within walking distance. Um, there's some kind of stamp. Anyway, it looks like it says first Avon edition 2002. So yeah, this is definitely vintage. Back in 2002, I wasn't reading Goosebumps anymore. I was still reading Spooksville, but I wasn't reading Goosebumps anymore. And uh, I think that this is probably on that same like middle grade level. I don't know. I haven't read it. Okay, then I have this book, and this is a fairly recent acquisition. I've only acquired this within the last month or two, but it's called The Beast by R.L. Stine, and I guess it's about a haunted roller coaster. So this is like a carnival themed book, and I know that a good chunk of content creators in this section of BookTube really likes carnival themed. It might not even be carnival themed. It might be amusement park themed, which is super super adjacent to a carnival theme. But this is pretty cool. I'm glad to have this one. Um, uh, I just want to look and see what year this is from. This is from 1994, which is just like really bizarre because I don't remember it from my childhood whatsoever. I grew up in four different states. R.L. Stine was popular in at least three of them. I think that when he gained popularity, I have since then lived in three different states. One of those states more than once. And I don't ever remember seeing another kid with this. I don't remember seeing it at the Scholastic Book Fair, but this is printed by Minstrel Books or Pocket Books, so that might be why. But yeah, it's from 1994. I was the right age, and I don't remember it from my childhood. It's kind of weird. But, you know, R.L. Stine's a busy writer. He wrote a lot of books. I guess I can't expect to know all of them. If you'll give me a second, since I'm working today, I'm, having me a drink like a man as I talk about R.L. Stine. Okay, so I have this one, and this is also a middle grade book, and it's called Three Faces of Me. And I remember picking this one up. I picked this one up at that thrift store that's like super close to my apartment. I've literally walked there before. Walking there isn't ideal, but it is close enough to justify getting your exercise if you need to get your steps in. This is from the year 2000. By then, I was already like 14, so I wasn't really. Aside from like Spooksville, I wasn't really reading middle grade horror anymore. Um, so that's a fun one. I'm almost out of like children's stuff. So I only have three Nightmare Room books by R.L. Stine. I'd really like to collect them all. I only have book number one. Uh, is it called? It's called Don't Forget Me, and this is book number one. What year did these Nightmare series first come out? Okay, 2000. Okay, that's when the Three Faces of Me came out. Like, this dude was pretty busy around the turn of the century. Um, and then I also have book number two in the Nightmare Room series, and it's called Locker 13. And this is in pretty good condition. There's a little bit of damage on the corner of the book, on the spine, but it's in otherwise pretty good condition. It's got a healthy spine. It's holding on to the pages. The pages are starting to yellow, but there's no damage. The pages are otherwise like pretty clean. So this is in good condition. I might need to just like stick a piece of a scotch tape down there just to kind of keep that little tear that's beginning to happen from getting out of hand. And then I have one more book in the Nightmare Room series, and that's called Shadow Girl, and that's book number 8. And I think that is a dope looking cover, because this like girl or young woman, she kind of looks like maybe a superhero, maybe a supervillain, maybe an anti-hero, but that's a pretty compelling cover. I like it. There's a dark, stormy sky over a house, and that like cloaked, hooded figure, or female figure. This looks pretty cool. This looks like it would be a fun one. This is from the year 2001. Could somebody let me know in the comment section, do you have to read the Nightmare Room books in order? Because if not, I might want to just read this one just for fun, because this is a cool looking cover. The cover looks so cool, I feel compelled to read it. And this looks like an easy read. So if someone could let me know in the comment section, I'd appreciate that. Okay, then, and we're starting to get out of the children's horrors books. Okay, so I have this collection of Nightmare Room books. This is a paperback, and it's in pretty good condition, maybe near mint, bordering on very good and near mint. And this is the first 3 books in the Nightmare Room series. It's Don't Forget Me, Locker 13, and My Name is Evil. That might have been back when the TV show My Name is Earl was new, and he might have been like, instead of My Name is Earl, My Name is Evil. Because R.L. Stine makes a lot of, well, he's not the only one, but it's not beneath him to make bad puns like that. Like puns that are so bad that they're good. And I think that's what the title My Name is Evil makes me think of. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Glad to have that. I would like to find more of these Nightmare Room books. Then, is that it for children's? No, not quite, not quite. Then there's this Nightmare Hour book that I have. It's a hardback. It's a collection of short stories, and I believe they're all written by R.L. Stine, if I'm not mistaken. This one says first edition. It's from the year 1999, and I just want to look at the table of contents, and I want to see if yeah, I'm pretty sure that all of these stories were written by R.L. Stine. There's illustrations in this book. And I'll go ahead and open. So it's kind of the same style of illustration that you might find in some modern reprints of Shirley Jackson books, like We've Always Lived in the Castle and The House on Haunted Hill. It's the same type of illustration style. The cover is really cool because it looks like all pencil art on the cover. This evil face with a clock, going around. I really like that shade of blue on white. And then the eyes are colored, and they kind of change depending on the light that you have it in. So this is a really cool cover. Let's see, what else do I got? Was that it? As far as children's books go, I guess I have one more, and this is an anthology of short stories, and it's edited by R.L. Stine, but it has his name, so it says it's called Beware, and it's R.L. Stine, and it's R.L. Stine picking some of his favorite short horror stories. And hang on, let me see if there's any names that I recognize. So R.L. Stine has one of his own short stories in this book, and it's called Joe is Not a Monster. And then there's a Roald Dahl short story called The Witches. There's this like really famous poem called "The Cremation of Sam McGee" by a poet named Robert W. Service. I actually have a book full of Robert Service's poetry, and "The Cremation of Sam McGee" is his most famous poem. It was in my English textbooks growing up. Bram Stoker has a short story called The Judge's House, but it's retold by R.L. Stine. And then he has another one of his own short stories in here called The Surprised Guest, and he has a Ray Bradbury short story called The Black Ferris. So this is pretty cool, and I like the fact that there's like spider webs and spiders and stuff on the pages, and it's got a really cool looking dust jacket, great front cover. So this is another one that I'm really glad to own. And now I guess we'll start jumping into his young adult. Well, no, because I only have like one adult book, and it's Superstitious. I don't know if he's written any more than this. I think he has. This is the only one that I have, but this is a hardback first edition printing of Superstitious, and then I have a paperback, and it's in like near mint condition, and so it's a little paperback, and it goes with my hardback, so I own both. And so now we'll get into the young, and just out of curiosity, I want to find out what year did Superstitious come out, because I was like in elementary school. So this came out in 1995. And I actually, so my parents in the 90s, they used to watch the Today Show back when like Matt Lauer and Katie Couric and all of them were still on that show. And I remember they actually had R.L. Stine on so he could promote this book. And I asked my dad, my father, if he was going to read it. And he said probably not, because he didn't really have all that much time for reading, even though he was a reader. But he primarily only read Stephen King and Dean Koontz, and then later on he got into Terry Goodkind. And I know he read the Game of Thrones series as well, but yeah, he wasn't going to be reading Superstitious by R.L. Stine. But I have it, and I'm like super proud of that. Then I don't know if this is young adult or if this is middle grade level reading or not, but this is another anthology, and it's called R.L. Stine Presents Fear, 13 Stories of Suspense and Horror by Meg Cabot, Heather Brewer, and many more of the hottest names in thriller writing. So I have some I have some Meg Cabot books in my collection. So I think that it's really cool that she has a story that made it into an anthology with R.L. Stine. And the only other name that I recognize is Peg Carret, Peg Carrot, Peg. I think that Peg Carrot had a Goosebumps-like series called Frightville. I only have one of them, and when you read the back, it doesn't even sound like it's a horror book. But yeah, those are the only names that I recognize. But this is really cool. It used to be a library book, but I have it, and it's in really good condition. Now we'll start to get into more of his like young adult books. So I have this hardback copy, and I think I do. I also have a paperback copy as well of A Midnight's Scream, or A Midsummer Night's Scream. And this is in like super good condition. This came out in 2013, so it's now over a decade old. Um, let's see, what do I want to show you next? I still have kind of a ways to go. Wow, we're 25 minutes into the video. All right, so I'll try to, hurry up a little bit. So I have this horror high book, and as some of you know, that I've recently acquired some horror high books by Nicholas Adams, and then I have this R.L. Stine book called Horror High, and then I have another horror high book by Caroline B. Cooney as well. I think it's called Toxic Beauty or something, and I'm looking at this like bibliography, and there's Deadly Rumors, there's Fatal Kiss, there's Grave Intentions. I think that these are all the R.L. Stine ones, because there's like no mention of Toxic Beauty by Caroline B. Cooney. So I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know if the Horror High rights transitioned from Nicholas Adams, and then the publishing company decided to get R.L. Stine and Caroline B. Cooney to write more. But I'd like to collect more of these if I could. Then I have this one. This is a paperback called Dangerous Girls, and this is a vampire book, as you can see from the cover. And this is one that I'd really like to get around to reading. I really love vampires, and this one isn't connected to like Fear Street or Goosebumps or anything. Obviously not Goosebumps, but this one came out in 2003, and I don't really know what to make of it, because when I read the synopsis on back, it looks like it's just one book, but then when you get to the table of contents, there's like parts 1 through 5, and I don't know if this is like more than like 2 books in one or something like that. I just don't know, but it does look like a really fun read. Let's see. Then I have this one, and it's called, and it used to belong to a library. I don't know if I bought it from a thrift store or if I got it in an eBay haul, but this one is called Bitten. Oh, okay. So this one has 2 books, Dangerous Girls and The Taste of Night. So I don't know. Is that a sequel? Yeah, so A Taste of Night is Dangerous Girls number 2. So it looks like I have both. So that's pretty cool. Then let's get into some of the vintage, point horror type books. So the first one that I want to go with is the Babysitter series. Okay, so as far as the Babysitter Part 1 goes, I have 2 different covers, okay? So they both look, super similar. They both have the Scholastic tag on the bottom, but then when you turn it over, the spines are different. One of them just says like Scholastic young adult fiction, and it's got the blood splatter with thriller, and then the other one says point fiction. And I have no idea if this is like, this one is the British point horror printing or not. I don't know too much about that stuff. This one says printed in the USA, and it says first Scholastic printing, July 1989. What does this one say, just for fun? It says the same thing, so I have no idea which one is the original or which one came first. I don't know about stuff like that. But that's the Babysitter Part 1. Then I have the Babysitter Part 2. I have the Babysitter Part 3. And the Babysitter Part 4. Okay. And I know that some people are like really into finding the first editions of the Babysitter Parts 1 and 2. I may or may not have one or I may or may not have a first printing of part one. I just don't know. But whatever. At least I have the collection complete, and I have two different covers, which is, kind of cool. But I never really intended to become a cover chaser, but it sort of happened. So then I have a point horror book, and it's twisted, and I have two different covers. And you can see that the spines are quite different. And just for fun, let's see, what year was this one printed? This one is from 1987, so I mean, I was one. So if I had a birthday shelf, this one is just 1 year away from being eligible to make it on there. So this book is almost as old as me, is what I'm saying. I'm old. Oh, speaking of the babysitter, parts 1 and 2, I have this bind up book, and it's the babysitter's parts 1 and 2. And this is a recent acquisition as well. I found it at a thrift store in recent months, and I couldn't help myself. I picked it up. This compilation was printed in 2003. So that's cool. I have The Hitchhiker by R.L. Stine, and I think that this is like a used bookstore sticker tag. I'll pick it off some other time. But the spine is a little bit rough, but it is holding onto the pages, and that's my biggest thing: is the spine holding onto the pages well? Is it good enough to endure like 1 or 2 readings at minimum? That's my biggest thing when it comes to collecting these vintage paperbacks, and this one's good enough. I have The Snowman, and this looks really cool. It looks really fun. I tried to read it a couple of winters back, but not this winter, the winter before. I tried to read it. I really did, and I just had the hardest time sitting down and committing to it. But maybe this year I can get around to reading it, because it's starting to warm up, so I'm probably not going to reach for this one. But maybe when the fall comes around and it starts to get cold again, I can finally get around to reading this one. Then I have Halloween Night and Halloween Night 2. And I guess Halloween Night 2 is getting really hard to find in that it's going for really high prices on eBay. I don't know if you guys have seen the original Karate Kid movies, but when, what's his name? Johnny Lawrence and his friends went to that Halloween shindig at the school. I think it was like a Halloween dance. They were wearing a really similar costume, and then they revisited that in Cobra Kai season 1 with Miguel. And then Danielson had all these flashbacks. That's what this cover kind of reminds me of. And then Cameron Chaney brought up an interesting point. The mall killer in the Fear Street movies, the costume designers were probably inspired by the cover of Halloween 2. And I thought, hey, that's a very highly likely possibility. Then I have Call Waiting, and I actually have 2 copies of this. I think that I just received a duplicate during a eBay haul where I bought an entire. And I used to buy entire lots of these to acquire my collection, and then from time to time I'd find some at thrift stores. Okay. Speaking of which, around the time that I started to recollect my R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike and vintage young adult horror books, I actually went to a thrift store for the first time, fully intending to find Christopher Pike, R.L. Stine, vintage young adult horrors, and I found this, and it was like in mint condition almost. The back cover actually has some creases, but not the biggest deal in the world. This is still in like very good condition as far as I'm concerned. This copy is from 1994. And I think that the cover on this one looks like really cool. And now that the weather is starting to warm up, I think that this one would be a really good summer read. So I would watch out for an upcoming book review of this. Then I have two copies of Blind Date by Earl Stine. I have the vintage cover, and then and this one used to be owned by a local high school library. And this one's actually in better condition. I still remember bringing this home from the thrift store. You can actually the, still find the book haul video where I got home with my hauls from that day. And I remember feeling like this was in worse condition, but the cover is actually doing okay, and the spine seems pretty healthy and holding onto the pages. This is actually better than I remember, but not quite as good as this. This one's like in mint condition, and this one has a different spine. It doesn't say points on the spine. It has the blood splatter, and it just says Scholastic. It doesn't say anything about point. I think that this, oh wow, this is a birthday shelf book. This was 1986, the year I was born. This is a birthday shelf book. Anyway, I think that I sent Shadyside Library a copy of this, and he ended up doing a book report or a book review on it, and he said that it was actually, like, kind of unique for a young adult book written by R.L. Stine, in the fact that it actually had like sex in the book, which I thought was interesting. Because R.L. Stine is not Christopher Pike. Let's just put it like that, okay? Then I have Hit and Run by R.L. Stine. And just for funsies, let's see what year this was printed, 1992. And so I have Hit and Run. Then I have The Girlfriend. And I think that is a great looking cover. I absolutely love it. This might make like a good Valentine's Day read. I haven't read it before, but I want to. This was from 1991. Then they have The Boyfriend, which I just love the fact that he does that. He has the counterpart. This is from 1990, so this one came first. So it wasn't ladies first this time around. And then he has The Dead Girlfriend, in which case it was ladies first this time around, because he also has another book in the new Fear Street horror series from like way later. And it's actually called The Dead Boyfriend. And it's like more of a modern, it's one of the more like recent Fear Street books, but this isn't a Fear Street book. This is a point horror. And it's The Dead Girlfriend by R.L. Stine. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and see what year this was made. 1993. Yeah, The Dead Boyfriend came out way later, like at least bare minimum 10 years later. Okay, and then I have these books, so Beach House and Beach Party. And so this one has the point logo at the top corner and also on the spine, as well as the red blood splatter. And then Beach Party doesn't say point. It just has the red blood splatter with Scholastic. And I know that one or the other of these books, Beach House and Beach Party, was not very popular. There's one of these where I've just never heard a good thing about it. I know Cameron Chaney, as well as some others, just admitted to not caring about it. And I don't remember which book it was. If anybody's read either of these books, will you let me know in the comment section what you thought? Thank you. Okay, and then I think I have one more of the point horror R.L. Stine books, and that's Broken Date. No, this isn't point horror. This is Archway. And this is another one where I found it, and it's kind of like the whole, how I broke up with Ernie. It's a hardback. It has this type of innard inside the book. And I told you that I found a Betty Wren Wright one recently like this. And I don't know who's donating these to that thrift store where I'm finding these, but I didn't find this one at a thrift store. I actually ordered it on eBay. I remember now. But anyway, this Broken Date is actually from 1988. And this one sounds like it's a lot of fun. Okay, we're almost done. I believe I have two more for you. Wait a minute. Oh, I actually have another cover of The Boyfriend. So these are both The Boyfriend, but with just different covers. And this other one says Point Thriller on the spine. Then I have this book by R.L. Stine called Eye Candy, and I've only acquired this one like within the last year, like maybe a year ago at most, something like that. And so I was really happy to find this one because I'd never heard of this one before. I haven't seen anyone else on BookTube ever like showcase it or talk about it. This is from the year 2004. So yeah, R.L. Stine was definitely busy at the beginning of the century. The I guess the end and the beginning of the century for sure. And then the last one I have is called The Sitter, and it's not really a part of the babysitter collection, but I wonder if there's any Easter eggs. Like I would have to read the whole entire babysitter series and then read this, and I just want to know, are there any Easter eggs? This is from 2003. And so that's it. These are all of my R.L. Stine books that don't have anything to do with Fear Street or Goosebumps. And I feel like I have a really good collection. I'm really proud of this collection. I'm really proud of R.L. Stine. And I just really admire him for his life's work. I really do. But thank you guys for watching. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Horns up. Peace out.